Hey, Rumble World Entertainment, and of course, The Batman Part 2 has been delayed until 2027, which is just insane. And this comes right after the absolute massive success of The Penguin on HBO, which, of course, picked up right where The Batman left off. And the end of this was meant to go directly into The Batman Part 2. But of course, now there's going to be this huge gap between The Penguin and The Batman Part 2. But one of the characters that everybody was curious, will they appear in The Batman Part 2? Will their story continue? Of course, was that of Sofia. And now we're hearing from Cristin Milioti about the future of this character, or at least what she hopes for the future of it. Now, she doesn't talk about The Batman Part 2, nor does she actually talk about a Penguin Season 2, but she just kind of more talks about her hopes. So the question is, where and when are we actually going to see this character next? Will it be in The Batman Part 2, or will it be in The Penguin Season 2? We're not quite sure, but let's have a look at this, because what she says as well, what she wants to do with the character, is quite interesting. So it's saying, in the season final of The Penguin, Oz Cobb brought an end to his feud with Sofia Gigante by exposing her role in the destruction of Crown Point and ensuring the Hangman is returned to Arkham. It's there that Sofia receives a letter from her half-sister Selina Kyle, the vigilante who we first saw suit up as Catwoman in 2022's The Batman. The stage has been set for both characters to share the screen, but it's more likely to happen in The Penguin Season 2 rather than the recently delayed The Batman Part 2. IndieWire recently spoke to Cristin Milioti about her future as the character and asked what about Sofia she hopes to explore moving forward. So this is what Cristin had to say. I don't know. It just seemed like there are infinite possibilities of where she could go. Obviously, I would want to see her get out of Arkham. That's like number one. I don't want her in there, so I want to see her get out there and then exact revenge. Maybe now she would be even more of a loose cannon, because before it was pretty focused on him and gaining power. But depending on what happens to her in there, it could be an even larger target. I would love to explore that. So that's the first part of what she says. And then this article says, despite that, the actor noted that there's a big part of her who would like to continue exploring Arkham. And she said this about that. Oh yeah, those scenes are fun. So maybe she stays in there for a little bit and I get to do a couple. Reflecting on joining the DCU, Milioti said, it was thrilling. I'm such a huge Batman fan. It's a lifelong dream of mine to be a Batman villain and to get to really show her entire story. For that to come from a woman's brain, you can just like sense it. You can feel it. Especially for that episode to be spearheaded by director Helen Shaver. That certainly was an added element to it. There's so many things that Sofia does in the show where, of course, they are morally reprehensible, but I've been stopped by a lot of women being like, this part was so cool or chaotic to see her go through this, and I felt that way as well. It's incredible, she concluded. So yeah, if you're wondering what she's talking about there by saying, because people might go, is she being like woke or something by saying it's coming from a woman's brain? The Penguin, if you didn't know, was written by a woman. Yes, that's right, Matt Reeves didn't write The Penguin. A woman wrote the series of The Penguin, and what a fucking brilliant job she did with it as well. So as you can see there, she's not talking about exploring the character in The Penguin Season 2 or The Batman Part 2. She does kind of hint at wanting Batman to be a part of Batman. And by the way, she's not bullshitting when she says, I'm a lifelong Batman fan. She's actually a pretty big Batman nerd, believe it or not. So she's not just one of these Hollywood people just saying it because she's now a part of it. No, she actually is. She's basically the female version of Henry Cavill when it comes to the nerdy stuff with this type of stuff. And she was a massive Batman fan. So it does sound like she is talking very much more of exploring the character more in the Batman Part 2. Of course, the issue is, if she's in there, how much of her would actually be in there? Because we know Colin Farrell has pretty much said he's only in about 5 scenes in the Batman Part 2. I wonder how he knows that, possibly because there's actually a script, James Gunn. But we all want to see more of Sofia. Let's face it, we really do, because she was a fantastic character. Cristin Miliotti's performance was fantastic. And yeah, we want more of her. We definitely want her in the Batman Part 2. The only problem now is, if it's the Batman Part 2 or the Penguin Part 2, is we are going to be waiting so long to get back to these characters. It's all James Gunn's fault, really, because he's the one that's delaying it. He's the one that's slowing it down. So let's hope this thing just comes together quite quickly and they can get it done. And let's face it, if Superman tanks at the box office, they're going to probably fast track a Batman. Now, it'll probably kill the whole DCU universe before it even starts. But Batman is still out there, and we know Zaslav wants Batman, and he wants him sooner rather than later. So it's going to be interesting to see where we meet this character next. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Cheers, and I will catch you in the next one.